There is not a single fan of the New York Knicks on this entire planet that wants to see the team make this move, and on top of that, we have multiple updates in regards to what's going down as the Knicks do find a coaching staff for Mike Brown, with some guys staying around, but also some spots opening that'll be Brown's choosing, and we are going to break all this down as there's a wide variety of guys who would be perfect and a wide variety of guys, specifically one who you saw, who we do not want on this Knicks team, and we're going to break all that down. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Knicks Digest. It's Chris here. For a second, I thought this was a Yankees video because I'm wearing a Yankee shirt right now. Jumping right into it, we have 67% of people who are not subscribed to this channel. I don't know why 2/3 of you aren't subscribed. We got daily videos like this. You do not want to miss out on all the great content, but let's jump into it. There's a lot to go over. Look, guys, I don't want Darvin Ham anywhere near the New York Knicks. However, we're seeing some reports right now that I'm not loving, as it was revealed by Mark Stein that Phoenix and now New York, after the hiring of Mike Brown as the Knicks' new head coach, have expressed interest in trying to hire Darvin Ham away from the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, Darvin Ham, I believed to be a terrible coach with the Lakers, and it was the thing that kind of stopped me the most from believing that the Lakers in 2023 were not going to make the conference finals. If you guys watch the happy hour shows or Jets Digest, you know my co-host Matt Long, and Matt and I went to college together. Long story short, we were in an Uber after a bar one time, and we were arguing over the Lakers, and I was telling him, I guarantee you, the Lakers are going to make the Western Conference Finals. The West is full of frauds this year, and LeBron and AD are one of the best duos. Matt was like, absolutely not. You're being insane. You're being a biased fan towards LeBron. And I was like, just watch. And he said, I would bet with you, but I know better than to bet with you on basketball. The same way I would say that to him about, like, fantasy football or just football in a general sense, which he knows far better than me. So, like, it's this situation where I said the one thing holding me back is Darvin Ham. And now Darvin Ham is linked to the New York Knicks. Now, I know the assistant coaching roles don't make that big of a deal, and people like Darvin Ham. I don't want Darvin Ham near the New York Knicks because I've heard of the other assistants who have been mentioned for this job, and they'd all be better head coaches than Darvin Ham would be an assistant coach, is what I'm saying. So, effectively, if you hear the sirens out there, that's because this could become an emergency. I don't want to see Darvin Ham on this Knicks bench. I don't want to see it happen. I have nothing personal against Darvin Ham. I know he's won a championship with the Milwaukee Bucks, but still, I've seen other names get linked here, and they are all way better. Some of them being James Borrego, who I would love. And here's the interesting thing about James Borrego. Now, I've brought this up before. This is not the newest update in the world. However, Ian Begley did mention that the Knicks will not force Mike Brown to keep any of Thibodeau's former assistant coaches. Brown and other coaches were told during the interview process that they'd have autonomy in hiring their own staff. So Brown will build his own staff. He is targeting James Borrego for the top role on his staff and views Borrego as a great offensive coordinator of sorts. But Borrego is under contract in New Orleans, so it could be difficult to procure him. Now, Brown is also considering some former Thibodeau assistants for his staff. He will evaluate his options as he gets going, but as he sorts things out, Begley strongly expects Rick Brunson, Darren Erman, Mark Bryant, and Maurice Cheeks to end up on Mike Brown's staff. We know Dice Yoshimoto won't be back based off him not coaching Summer League, and how the staff looks ultimately will be his call. But as Begley said, I'd be surprised if the names mentioned above don't end up on the final staff. Now, the big thing about Borrego and this whole situation is that since he's an assistant coach with the Pelicans, he's not getting a promotion becoming the associate head coach at the Knicks because he's the associate head coach of New Orleans. So because of that, what we're seeing is a situation where he's not getting a promotion, meaning the Pelicans would have every right to block him. Teams don't block someone if they're up for a promotion. That's just not the respectful thing to do, and teams understand that. It's an unspoken rule that you do let someone, if they're an assistant coach, you let them interview for a head coaching job, or if they're a player development, regular assistant coach, and they get an associate head coaching offer, you do let them go do that. You won't block them. You'll let them talk in the interview because it's just the respectful thing to do. So that's what usually happens. It's very rare that stuff like that doesn't happen. However, when you're like, hey, we want your associate head coach for our associate head coaching position. Sound familiar? Does to me after, the whole Jason Kidd, Ime Udoka situation. But the Knicks are going to try to look for James Borrego, but there's not a 100% chance they get him. Yeah, maybe they'll offer more money, and the Pelicans will say, you know what, go get your money, go to New York, go work for Mike Brown, it's whatever, we'll find someone to replace you. But I don't really see that happening, so that leaves a few different options as well that are not James Borrego. Now, Stein also put it out there that it's believed that the Knicks also have interest in Phil Handy for Mike Brown's new staff in New York after they worked together with the Lakers and the Cavaliers. Now, Phil Handy would be awesome. He might be my first overall pick for that associate head coaching role. Handy has been nothing short of a great assistant coach in basketball, and many wonder why he hasn't really gotten the chance to be a head coach of a team yet. Every time a vacancy comes around, people will float around Phil Handy's name because of the success he's had as an assistant coach, winning multiple NBA championships up to this point already. You look at Phil Handy's career thus far, his first year with Cleveland, he won an NBA championship. The next 2 years, obviously, he made the championship with them. When LeBron James departed from the Cleveland Cavaliers, Phil Handy departed as well. He went to Toronto, where he was an assistant coach in 2018-2019. Wouldn't you know it, they won the championship. And then he headed to Los Angeles in 2019-2020, and you would not believe what happened there. A national pandemic took over the world and kind of ruined all of our lives for a year to a year and a half, depending on where you live in the country, and there was a bunch of people at angst and against each other. We got stimulus checks. I spent it all on baked goods. I'm not even kidding. I just bought a ton of insomnia cookies. It was a disaster. I gained 15 pounds. I was locked inside my bedroom. I had nothing to do. I just played 2K for 10 hours a day. Oh yeah, but also the Lakers did end up winning the NBA Finals that September. That's really where I meant to go with this. And then he stuck around with the Lakers since then, except for this season. So now we look, or last season I should say, the season's over. But when it comes down to it, Handy is a great coach. Now, we look at at James Borrego's tenure, and Borrego has been a head coach before with the Hornets. He actually did a good job, but the Hornets were a disaster. You can't really blame him that much for not taking full advantage. He did get them to the playing game with a bad team that shouldn't have been there, but his offensive coaching is genius, and I wanted him as the Knicks head coach. So there's that. And then you just look at how Mike Brown's gotten here. He's been all over the place, multiple assistant coaching jobs. So what this all shows us is the connections that Mike Brown has made. So he's going to be linked to a whole lot of people who he knows from his past times. Because even if it's more like just some of these guys who are coaches used to be scouts and stuff, Mike Brown has worked with so many people over all these years of being in the NBA. I mean, whether it's been the 11 years that he's been a head coach, or the 11 seasons, I should say, because not all of them were full seasons, but the 11 seasons that he was a head coach, or all the seasons that he was an assistant coach, Mike Brown's been in the NBA since the 1990s, and he's made a ton of connections through that time. A lot of names are going to be floated on this list of head coaches. Don't get it wrong. So with that all in mind, we're going to see what sort of happens with that going forwards. I want Phil Handy, and I think he's very attainable. Now, the Knicks, obviously, they have been known to show interest in Ham. Ham had 2 successful seasons, or successful enough seasons with the Lakers as a head coach. The first time around, they were a play-in team, won that play-in game against the Timberwolves, beat the Grizzlies and then the Warriors, and subsequently got swept. Did they get swept, or did they win that one game? They might have won game 3, or game 4, excuse me. I forget. It doesn't matter. They got obliterated by the Denver Nuggets. And then the next year around, they made the playoffs again and got obliterated by the Denver Nuggets again. So what we saw was a situation. They got swept because the Nuggets definitely won in 5 in 2024. Not the point. Look, at the end of the day, I do think there's going to be a lot of interesting names that get floated around for this Knicks head coaching position, or Knicks associate head coaching position, because that's what we'd be looking at more than anything, if you ask me. I think we're looking for an associate head coach who also has a lot of experience, whether it's a Handy who hasn't had a job as a head coach but has been great, James Borrego who has, or that's not Darvin Ham, or Darvin Ham who has. Whatever we know, Mike Brown is going to be diligent, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this plays out. Mike Brown's going to run a fun offense, so it's going to be interesting to see. I would rather the associate head coach be a defensive-minded head coach, because we do have an offensive-minded head coach already, so I might have said head coach twice, but associate head coach, defensive-minded, and no, I said it right. I'm all over the place right now, guys. It's been a long 4th of July weekend, man. What can I say? Look, guys, subscribe to the channel. It'd be cool if you did. We have a lot of good content. Want to make sure to watch all these videos. Guys, I'm going to get back to watching this Yankee game. Like, subscribe, post notifications. You know the drill. Have a great day. And go Knicks. Also, go Yankees. Go Jets. And sometimes I'm on Mets Digest as well if you want to see that. You'll probably see me around on other channels too. Later.